Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Music Lab podcast. My name is Dogg, and I'm so excited to be back with all of you for another episode of the podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us, and that helps the bands and artists like Remi. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear RAR. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have Remi Goode today, all the way from the wonderful city of Nashville, Tennessee. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course, you must have so much excitement, energy, whatever adjective you want to throw at, because you have an album coming out tomorrow, your debut album. Tell the audience what you're feeling.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. I've kind of got a lot going on in my brain, so maybe overwhelmed we could throw in there too. Um, but mostly excited. Mostly excited for it to be out and kind of that weight off. So yeah.
So, when you originally started with this project, how many songs did you have? What was the process like? When did this all start?
It's been a very long-winded project. Um, I wouldn't say that I had like a ton of songs that I kind of like curated down into this project per se. I just like am a slow writer and a slow recorder. And I started, well, the first song, or no, the oldest song that's on the record, I started writing in 2018. So, it's been a good while. Um, but I had some songs on there that I didn't make it, but that's mostly just because I put them out before I was really ready to start putting songs out. And, um, I've kind of like learned a lot along the way that has made me kind of have to delay the project and, lots of things. But um, yeah, it's been very long-winded is the short story of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I guess what would Raimi in 2025 then tell the 2018 songwriter? What have you learned in those 7 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, I guess I've made a lot of progress, I guess, or I hope I have with perfectionism in the recording process. And that's something that both Gabe and I have been working on. Um, Gabe is my musical partner, and we do all of the recording together. And we both are perfectionists, and so we kind of, I guess, bring it out in each other. So we're both trying really hard to do things a little quicker and get the recordings done a little quicker. But I also have kind of felt like this album was like the means by which I learned how to become a songwriter and also how to call myself a songwriter because I didn't really feel comfortable calling myself a songwriter at the beginning of it all, like 7 years ago or whatever it was. Even 5 years ago, I was like, I don't really feel like I count as a songwriter because I don't write songs fast enough and I don't write enough of them. And it's not easy, like it's too hard. Um, and I guess I've had to kind of change my perspective on, I mean, I still write songs slow and I don't know if that'll change, but I've had to change my perspective on um like maybe that's okay and it still counts because I have created this project and like this is what I'm doing with my life, so maybe I am a songwriter.
Well, and I
Um
must say, it is a human emotion to feel imposter syndrome. You know what I mean
Yeah.
by that? And
Yeah.
I think what's funny about that is a lot of people will talk about imposter syndrome, but they won't talk about like I feel like a lot of that is because of just self-confidence. Is that fair to say, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Definitely a lot of kind of like self-doubt feelings and all the normal stuff. It's not like it's like new or special. Um, it's just like um yeah, it's just kind of like I guess the story of this project. So,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, and we all kind of weave through that maze, differently, and you get different results, obviously, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So, of
Um,
the 9 songs on this album, what song do you feel like was the most challenging?
um, let's see. That that song that I started in 2018 definitely was challenging. It took me I started it that was overseas for the record. Um I started that one when I was in the Netherlands and I was living there after high school as kind of like a gap year. My mom is from the Netherlands, so I went there as I guess kind of like a do it yourself exchange program or something with our family friends. And um, I was like extremely homesick and didn't, I wasn't doing so well over there. Um, and so I was writing the beginnings of that song while I was there, um, but I couldn't really finish it because I was kind of, you know, too much like inside of it or too much in the kind of sadness of it. So it took me like basically a year and a half to finish it because I had to kind of like come out of my not doing well
Yeah.
period and kind of come back home to Arizona and feel better before I could finish it. So that was like a whole just like waiting for time to pass thing. Yeah.
So, I would imagine if you weren't in such a bad place, having that year in Netherlands would have been just amazing, correct? I mean, talk about that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really love it there and I've been back since and I went as a kid. Like my parents would bring me quite a bit with our family friends there and I do kind of I guess consider it like a second home. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Going there alone, I I kind of was like trying to be like I'm, an independent 18-year-old and uh, you know, it's a whole thing. I just was like, nah, this isn't for me. I'm not ready.
Did you
So,
meet like any love interest over there or while you were
well,
there?
I was with Gabe already at the time, so I
Oh,
was also, missing him and
yeah.
missing home and there were a lot of factors that were making me really sad.
Yeah. I
So
hear
yeah, bad timing.
you. Yeah, I have never been to Europe. I just know that once I go there, I won't want to leave.
Yeah, it's really awesome. It
Yeah.
is.
So let's go back to the beginning, right? So you grew up in Tucson, Arizona.
Yes.
I have never been to Tucson. If you were like a
Mhm.
real estate agent, sell me Tucson.
Okay. Yeah, there's people call Tucson the dirty tea, which I don't like because I think Tucson's beautiful. Um, it's in the Sonoran Desert, so that's really special because the Sonoran Desert is the only place where the saguaro cactus exists, which is, the epitome of the cactus, the one standing with the arms up. And it's got really beautiful mountains, kind of, it's in a valley, and the mountains are around the whole thing. So, mountains all around you. Um, it's it is pretty hot, but it's not as hot as Phoenix. And yeah, a lot of people kind of like keep their yards like natural desert and yeah. It's a cool town. It's kind of hippie and a little bit, it's kind of like the Santa Fe of Arizona, a little bit like a little woo-woo.
Yeah, a little weird.
Yeah.
So are you a skier or a snowboarder? Are you an outdoors type?
I'm a skier. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to travel to ski
Okay.
when you grow up in Tucson, but my mom's a big skier, so I would go skiing with her.
Yeah, I
Um,
had a snowboard company founder on, and I joked with him like, I don't know how you snowboarders do it. Like, it's just to me, it's just a different world. Like I'm like, I'll get
yeah.
my skis.
Yeah, I won't I don't get the snowboarding thing either. That's like you have to be a different kind of person.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna do any flips or any the part of the mountain where there's the whatever, the
The
bumps.
moguls.
You catch
Yeah,
air. I'll stay on the ground.
right. So we leave Tucson. So yeah, first of all, so like in high school, like what kind of kid were we like in high school? Did we have a lot of friends? Were we kind of a loner? Were we musical? Like when did we get into music then?
Um, yeah, and I got into music from the time I was really young. So before high school, I started taking lessons, classical guitar lessons when I was 7. Um, so I got a guitar for Christmas, and apparently I wanted to play piano, but I I think my parents thought, or my mom thought that our house was too small for a piano, so I got a guitar. And yeah, started taking classical guitar lessons. And then I was also in choir, um, also around the same time. So I was already doing music. But yeah, in high school, I was in Montessori until 8th grade. So I was a little bit, I guess, kind of felt weird going to public school in high school. I was like, I don't understand how class periods work. I don't understand being at a school where, like, you know, there's this many kids. Like, I graduated, my 8th grade class had 16 kids in it. Um, and I was like, I didn't understand like a school where you could like wear whatever you wanted. Um, yeah, because Montessori's kind of I loved Montessori, but it's a little bit weird. So, yeah, high school is a little bit of a culture shock. Um, but I had enough friends. I kind of had like one really close friend, and we were really tight. And then I had a little bit of a friend group that I developed, but I wasn't. So I was kind of friendly with everybody, but I never felt like I was like, oh, like the bestest friends. But I still have friends from high school
Yeah.
for sure.
Like lyrically and like when you write your songs, are you more reflective or are you more like current in like your state?
Definitely reflective. I can't write anything like while it's happening. Um, like the whole like songwriting is therapy thing. Like I don't, I can't like do it while it's happening kind of thing. Um, yeah, I feel like I actually don't really process things with songwriting. I feel like I process like outside of that, just in my normal life, like with the people in my life. Like I process verbally, I process like talking to Gabe and talking to my parents and, in my brain. And then once I kind of have things sort of figured out, then I can be like, okay, there's a song here, or like there's something that's worth telling here. Because a lot of things aren't worth telling, like sometimes things just pass and it's not a big deal. Um, but sometimes I think things are worth being in a song because it's a pattern or it's something that's happened more than once, and um or it's like, yeah, I don't know. I think I like to turn things into songs once I'm like, oh, this is like something that continually happens in my life. Like maybe this is something that's like worth talking about. Yeah.
I mean, what artists and bands then are you into? What do you like to, or and what even like style of music are you really into? Or are you kind of all over the board?
Um, I kind of am still listening to the same music that I was like listening to as a kid that like my dad showed me. Um, which maybe I'm just like really a nostalgia like listener. Um, I try listening to new stuff and I don't really lock into it. Like I like it and then it doesn't
Stick.
like incorporate kind
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
But so yeah, I'm still listening to like Kathleen Edwards and Sarah Harmer and Suzanne Vega and Brandy Carlisle a little bit. So like, you know, folk, contemporary folk, Americana
Mhm.
artists that my dad showed me when I was like 9. And but now I listen, I guess my new artists that I listen to now are also like Madison Cunningham and Theo Katzman. Um, so a little bit more, I guess, kind of adventurous.
Yeah. I mean, you seem personality wise, you seem pretty even keel. You don't get too high and you don't get too low. Do you kind of reflect that in your songwriting too, or not really?
Yeah, for sure. I am kind of like, I don't know. My dad's always like, "You never get excited." Like I get excited because I say I'm excited, you know. So yeah, I am kind of like pretty low key, I guess, in that way. Um, and I feel like my my songwriting does kind of like um match that. Like uh it kind of like kind of just stays in this like I don't know, I can't really like go to like extremes, I guess, like in the songwriting because I'm like, well, then that's not true. Like, there's always kind of a flip side. There's always like another version of the truth. And I really kind of like staying in that like almost like I don't know, maybe ambivalence is like not the right word because it that's kind of like almost like you feel nothing. But it's like the duality of it, like more than one thing can be true. And it's kind of cool how that's true.
Yeah.
So I kind of like exploring that.
I think it's a testament to an artist that if that your music sounds great when you wake up in the morning and it sounds great when you go to bed.
Oh, well, that's nice. Yeah. Yeah, I I do kind of I like I like music that like that's the kind of stuff that I listen to, I guess. So I
Mhm.
like making stuff that I would listen to.
So I'm assuming you guys self-produced then this album, or did you have help, or who all was involved other than you and Gabe?
Yeah, so Gabe and I produced it, um, but we had a lot of help with our band basically that we had in Phoenix. So this was like our college band that we met everyone at Arizona State. So and then the kind of main person that helped us, he like mixed his own drum tracks was Cole. So he played the drums and then mixed the drums. So yeah, he was kind of the most involved, I guess. But yeah, so him and then the other members of the band, uh, Jake played bass and Hayden played violin and mandolin. And yeah, that was kind of like our core group. We were all really close in Phoenix. And yeah, we also did record some stuff because that was pretty much mostly recorded. Like Gabe and I are like, bedroom recording people. So our various bedrooms that we've had throughout, our college apartments, and my parents' bedroom, and or my bedroom at my parents' house and whatever. Um, and then we also had an opportunity to record at the like fancy studio at Arizona State that they built kind of right before we left. 'Cause that kind of happened later on in our college careers. They developed this like popular music program that, we were not a part of, and they let us record there for kind of a deal because we were alumni. And so the last four songs on the record were recorded there. So a little bit kind of like a best of both worlds, I guess, because the songs recorded in the bedroom are, they sound a little bit like lo-fi because they were recorded in mostly untreated rooms, and but like Gabe and I could be as perfectionistic as we wanted to, and like um you know spend all the time we wanted to, like, yeah, crafting everything. And then in the studio everything's recorded with like gear that we couldn't imagine affording, but we're like recording it live with our band. So things are a little bit more raw and um, kind of like off the cuff. So, you know, I guess it kind of, you get those like two types of recordings there.
Yeah. So how much time did they allow you to have to record those four songs?
We did it over 2 days. So we had
Oh,
like a band day for two of them, which there was actually a third one that we didn't put on the record. And then um, there was another day where we recorded the last two songs. So that was the day where I recorded like the last song by myself, and then Might Not Be True was like just Gabe and I.
so we talked about this before we started, but when this notion that, up until you release these songs, they're yours, but then
Yeah.
after we release it, they become everyone else's. Like, what is your take on that when I say that?
hmm Yeah. It definitely feels different when, the streaming links go live. Um, and but usually I'm just kind of like sitting at home and I'm like, well, they're live. But it partially, I guess, because, and I guess this is also part of why I called the record Things I've Said Before, is because I've also been playing these songs live for so long already. It kind of already feels like they're out there. Um, they're not out there in this way. They're like these recordings obviously haven't been out, and no one's heard like this instrumentation, and um that I am excited for because we've been working on these particular recordings for so long. Um, but like, we've used these songs for like our tiny desk submissions, and we've used these songs like in like they've just, been in very like YouTube videos, or like they've been in, every single performance that I've done over the last basically 4 years. So a lot of people have heard them who know me and have been following me. Um, so yeah, it's like, yeah, these songs have been around. Um, but like it definitely feels the most different when like someone tells me what they think, about this recording in particular. Like we've had some singles out, so I've been able to catch some glimpses of what it's like to have the actual recordings out, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how much importance do you put on social media and, that whole avenue and lane of this industry now?
Yeah. I'm definitely doing my best to be on there. Um, it's like a grind. It kind of never stops. But it's a necessary evil. Um, yeah. I guess I'm kind of always like, oh, I'm not doing enough on social media. And trying not to like be too hard on myself about it. But it's hard not to. Um, and then, I've had some like close friends be like, "Oh, you're doing so good on social media." I'm like, "Really?" So, I guess it's going fine. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's such a fluctuating thing too, with the algorithms and whatever, you know, things do well or things don't, and you can't predict it. So,
Yeah,
I,
who would have thought that in the music industry, like if you would have asked us 10 years ago or 20 years
I
ago
know.
that
Yeah,
the word algorithm would be so important now,
I
you'd think
know.
that they were crazy. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's like all I think about now. Yeah. It's super weird. It's definitely weird. It's like one of the biggest parts of my job. You know, like Gabe and I have our kind of our split of our duties in our company, and I do the social media. So yeah.
I mean, what's it like having, just a life partner as well as a musical partner to try and get you through this? Like, can you imagine doing this by yourself?
Oh my gosh, no. I could not imagine it. I we talk about it sometimes, like we think about our friends who are, solo artists and they don't have a Gabe. I don't understand. I don't know how they're doing it. Um, there are so many things to do when like you're independent and when you don't have a team. And it's like it's actually crazy. Like before I knew anything, I was like, what could there possibly be to do? And there's like now it's like there's actually so many things to do. Um, and yeah, like he does half of the work and like we're still not like it still feels like we're like letting things slip through the cracks that we just can't manage to do. So, I guess when you don't have a second person, you just like prioritize and you um decide like, oh, like this year I'm gonna just like put out music or and like this year I'm gonna tour. And we like luckily get to do both because of that. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I couldn't be more grateful to have another person. It does get difficult to, live and date and work with the same person. So, that's a can of worms, but we're managing.
Yeah, sometimes you just need a break, right? You just need to,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So you spoke about touring. You have quite a tour coming up in October and
Yeah.
November. What was it like putting that together? Like, talk about that process.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, splitting workloads, Gabe is the booker. So I guess I'm not the best person to ask, but and we also had help this time because we're touring with Brittany Ann Tranbaugh, and she did a lot of the booking for like our Northeast run. Um, so yeah, that was super nice. A lot of those shows kind of, felt like they fell into our lap, which never happens. Um, because yeah, she just like she can book so fast. It's crazy. But um, but yeah, we're doing kind of like different little like legs of it. So we're doing some stuff in down here in Tennessee with our friend Rachel McIntyre Smith, and then we're going on a run in like the Midwest with our friend Madeline Kelson, and then we're doing that Northeast run with Brittany Ann Tranbaugh and her friends Cloud Belly. So yeah, three little runs and with people that like we think are awesome. So that's also really cool.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're smaller, you don't feel like you get to kind of like
Pick.
play people that you think are awesome, and
Yeah.
like we're getting to play with friends that we've like found through being in Nashville, and like we met Brittany at Folk Alliance in Montreal, which we went to in February, a long time ago now. Um, so yeah, it's cool also to kind of meet and make your music community and then actually get to make things happen with them, you know?
Yeah. Talk about that folk alliance in Montreal. First of all, we were in Montreal 2 Novembers ago.
Yeah.
And my God, like what a city. Like what
Yeah,
a city.
it's cool. It was my first time in Montreal. Um, I'd only ever been to Vancouver, so obviously different vibe.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, when you go to Folk Alliance, you don't really get to see the city a whole lot because you're just like in that hotel, like being bombarded by Folk Alliance. But we tried to go out and, get our poutine and stuff. So, but yeah, Folk Alliance is crazy. That was our second time going. We went the year before in Kansas City, but yeah, Folk Alliance is funny. It's like, it's a professional conference of folk musicians, which is like an oxymoron, like it's like people just like the most like a mix of like weirdo folk musicians and like actual business people are like taking over a hotel and you just like feel sorry for any person who's like actually trying to go to that hotel like a normal person. And there's guitars everywhere, like in the bathtubs and every like crevice where a guitar can fit, and posters plastering all the hallways and on
Wow.
all of the elevators and everything. And it takes you like 30 minutes to catch an elevator because they're all full all the time. So yeah, Folk Alliance is crazy, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool. I've not been there, but it's always what, like the first or second week of February?
Yeah, I think this coming year it's like weirdly in January. But
Okay.
it's in New Orleans this year too, which or in 2026.
Oh,
So
really?
that'll be fun.
Yeah, New Orleans is great. I love New
Yeah,
Orleans.
yeah.
So we've not talked about your guitar that you play. You play a particular guitar that is not as popular, I would say, as like normal, the nylon string guitar. What
Yeah.
makes that guitar so unique, and why did you choose to start playing it?
Yeah, the nylon string guitar, I mean, it's basically a classical guitar, so I still kind of keep that up from my classical guitar time. That's just what I learned to play on. Um, and it's what I took lessons on. So I guess I never learned how to play on a steel string guitar, which is, what folk musicians are usually playing on. So I just kind of stuck with it. Um, when you learn classical guitar, you learn how to play with your fingernails. So like you pick with your fingernails, right, on your right hand. And that's how I still play because I have never learned how to play with a pick. I've never even tried. So, um, I don't know. I never really thought twice about it. I just kind of was like, well, this is how I play guitar. I don't really know another way, so I just stick with it. And um, I like the way it sounds. It's like a softer sound. Um, Obviously, it's like less twangy because the treble strings are nylon and then the bass strings are nylon wrapped in steel. So, um, quieter and softer, a little bit of kind of like a pluckier sound, I guess, instead of like a twangier sound. And I feel like the nylon strings getting a little bit popular. I see some of the artists that I follow and like or like I see them starting to use a little bit.
Mhm.
So maybe it's getting around. But you definitely don't see people using their nails because it's like a whole technique. Like you have to file your nails in a certain shape and buff them with like very fine sandpaper and do a whole like routine, which is gets pretty annoying. But
So are your
um,
hands like that now? Can we see
yeah,
them?
they always are. So like my right hand is long, and they're like angled weird. And then my left hand is short so that I can fret the strings. Um, and, you know, this is always what my hands look like, which is sort of unfortunate, but it is what it is.
I don't know if I would use unfortunate, but
Not that I like to get manicures, but I have once in my life, and they were pretty concerned for me. They were like, "What is happening here?" um, yeah.
I got you. So let's talk about All Eyes Media and Kai. What have they done for your career so far with, your relationship with them, and how did that relationship come about?
Yeah, we met Jim first,
Oh,
actually,
okay.
but yeah, we actually met Jim at Folk Alliance in Montreal. So, that's funny that that came up. So we have been working with Erin Anderson. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, but she's a manager here in Nashville, and she has a management company called Olivia Management.
Okay.
And we've been working with her since actually before we even moved to Nashville. So for like almost 3 years now, but she hasn't been our manager. She's just been kind of like our consultant, like manager consultant. And we've been meeting with her on like a monthly basis. Um, but yeah, she hasn't been our full-time manager. So we're not at that level. And so yeah, she's been kind of one of the a big part that of a big part of the reason that we came to Nashville. She has a really big community here and she's very well loved. And she like told us about Folk Alliance so that we started going and
Yeah.
whatever. So she was at Folk Alliance and she sometimes she'll give panels at Folk Alliance. And she was giving one kind of about like independent artists and like the the beginnings of like what team members, folk like independent artists might need, like or advice that team members can give independent artists to kind of like ready themselves for team members, when they're first starting to get them. And Jim was on her panel, Jim Flamia, and All Eyes Media is his company, right? So Kai works for him, and we Gabe and I had been just kind of gotten off of the process of pitching our album to labels, which, didn't work out. Um, and we had finished a few months before this Kickstarter. And so we now, with that Kickstarter, the intention was to hire some team members like a publicist and like some marketing. And so we were kind of on the lookout for publicists. And we had asked Erin like publicist recommendations. And she had not mentioned Jim, but we had like, and Gabe had like looked at, you know, what publicists were going to be at Folk Alliance because Folk Alliance kind of publishes that, and we found Jim. And so we were like, well, we're going to go to Aaron's panel anyway, so like we'll talk to Jim. And we had a conversation with him there that was really nice. And so we sent him the record, and he really liked the record and was kind of immediately really excited to possibly work with us, which was really exciting for us. Um, and yeah, he kind of like wanted to call with us, and he kind of pitched himself to us, which is always the whole publicist thing was kind of funny because as an independent artist, you're never getting pitched to. Like you're always pitching yourself, like begging basically for people to listen to you. So um, it was funny to have publicists be like, we want to work with you. um, so yeah, Jim's awesome. Kai is awesome. We just met him in person because he doesn't live in Nashville. We just met him in person when he was down here for Americana Fest last week. And they're both great. So, and yeah, they're doing a lot for us. They're very, you know, responsive. They feel very much like they're on our team and they're for us. You know, like some people can be on your team, but they're like really on our team, you know. They're like very actively, out there spreading our spreading our stuff, which is, what they're supposed to do. So,
Yeah, I mean, she reached out to me, so yeah, it's
yeah,
it's a good
yeah,
start. They're doing something, right? And I
yeah,
must
yeah.
say, their roster is, I mean, they have some
I
incredible artists
know,
in
I
there.
know. Yeah, we're like it's kind of crazy that that they took us on. So,
Yeah.
they don't work with baby artists like us very often. So, um, I think we're a little bit of a passion project on their part. So it's very, very lucky.
Yeah. So, what does your audience have, and your fans to expect for new music then? Do you have anything written, or are you starting to play that stuff as well live, or?
Um, I haven't super. I've kind of started to write a little bit, but not super. Like so fully in album brain that I haven't really transitioned into writing brain yet. Um, but I definitely want to very soon. Um, Maybe after this week, with the record coming out, I'll be able to open up some space a little bit.
Good.
Um, I definitely have to kind of like change lanes. I'm not very good at just kind of like keeping the songwriting lane open.
Mhm.
I can just kind of like close it off and forget that I even have that ability. So, yeah, I have to open it back up.
So, I mean, living in Nashville now, like you said, it's been 2 years. We were down there for Americana Fest. Like the talent in musicians down here or down there, it's just unbelievable. I mean, just talk about that and what you've experienced firsthand.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy living here, especially we came from Phoenix. So like living in like a music city like this, it really just kind of changes how you relate to music for sure. Um, because it's like, yeah, everyone you meet does music pretty much. Um, and yeah, I work in a coffee shop, and so it feels like all your customers and all of your coworkers do music. Um, so yeah, it's inspiring for sure. It kind of feels like you're not alone. Sometimes it's discouraging because you're like, well, geez, like everybody's doing this. Like, but most of the time, it kind of just feels like there's always somebody to turn to, and there's always somebody you can talk to about it. Um, and it's almost kind of like healthy competition in a way, but it's also like nobody's really competitive because everybody's kind of just doing their own thing. Um, and kind of like it feels very supportive also. So
Mhm.
I feel like at least in who we've found, maybe there's different pockets of different energy out there, but in the sort of, you know, folky people that we've found, it feels very supportive and like uplifting.
Yeah. I mean, just talk about too, like the venues. I mean, my gosh, like the five spot. We went to JP Lindsley's or some Lindsley's,
Oh, Third and Lindsley?
Third and Lindsley.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic.
I know. It's such a cool,
Dee's
cute place.
Country Lounge, like
Mhm.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Just so many great venues. Like, yeah,
yeah,
it's unbelievable.
yeah. Lots of character at those places.
So have you thought about doing like Tree Fort or like South by Southwest like next year?
Um, I'm not really sure. We definitely want to try to start doing some festivals and um Gabe, our booker, Gabe, has been looking into some getting us, some smaller slots in festivals. So hopefully, um, it can definitely be hard to break into the festival thing when, again, you're small like us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I want to talk about a cover that you did in 2018. Is that when you did it?
Yeah, I think so.
The
Hmm.
Can't Help Falling in Love. Elvis Presley, my gosh, enough said about the song, but why did you choose that song and your take on it?
Yeah, I chose that song um, actually because of the time that I spent in the Netherlands. Um, because while I was there, I was doing some gigs, some like house shows, and I was like playing some covers at those house shows, and because I didn't have a lot of songs written, I was doing a lot of covers. And um, funny thing about Dutch people is that they just will sing along, like to songs that they know. Like like you don't have to tell them to sing along. Like I feel like here in the States, like you kind of have to be like, sing along if you want, like you have to tell people.
Yeah. Prompting.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because otherwise they're just like, well, I'm here to listen. And like, yeah, Dutch people will just sing along if they know it. Like they just have no shame. So every time I sang that song, obviously everybody knows that song. Like they would just sing along like full voice, just everybody singing. It was like, cool, this is kind of awesome. Um, so I don't know, it just kind of made me want to. It was always a fun song to sing and kind of gave me good memories of a time that obviously wasn't like the best. So um, yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of just like a one-off thing I did and felt like recording something and putting it out when I didn't have other things to record and put out. So, yeah.
So I guess if you did have a festival set where they asked you to play like an hour, like what covers would you do other than that to fill the set?
Yeah. We used to play some like the band used to play some cover. I guess they were kind of like we used to play some gigs that were like 3-hour gigs, where we would play like the originals I had, but also a bunch of covers. Um, we played a lot of different stuff. We played a lot of like Theo Katzman songs and we played we played some like Stevie Wonder songs, like uh Valerie by Amy Winehouse. We played a lot, like a bunch of random stuff. Um,
Are you
that was also,
familiar? Are you familiar
huh?
with the band? Are you familiar with the band that actually wrote that song, Valerie?
No.
It's a band called the Zootons.
Oh,
They're out of England. Yeah, she actually covered their song, and then Mark Ronson obviously produced it. But yeah, they're a fantastic band. They're kind of like a bar, kind of like Roadhouse kind of band, but
oh,
really,
cool.
really talented. Yeah, that song is you
I'll
you
have
have
to
to
check
check
it
out
out.
their original
Yeah,
version of it. Yeah, it's good.
that's cool. Yeah, I don't know. Stuff like that.
Yeah, sweet. So, one of my final questions then. So, I looked on your Instagram page, obviously, for
Mhm.
research, and you had the bravery, and I will say bravery because I walked the streets 10 days ago. You filmed on Broadway in Nashville. At what time of the day, and what was your thinking?
Yeah. Yeah, that I don't know what came across me honestly or what came over me is the saying. Um, yeah, that was like a Friday at like 5 p.m. or something, 6 p.m. I I was like Gabe and I had this idea to like, well, I need content for my Instagram for promoting Short Circuit and the whole thing, Short Circuit, this single is about like being socially anxious. It's about being like, feeling uncomfortable and yeah, being socially anxious, being anxious in general. And so we had this idea of like being kind of like deadpan in like a situation where a lot of people are walking by and kind of like being their like party selves and like what's the best place to like have a lot of people walk by is Broadway. Um so yeah, we went to Broadway and I like, wore my AirPods and lip synced to my song. And I don't know, like a year ago, I would never in a million years do that. So I don't know what like made me do that. Um, but yeah, people like gave me bunny ears, people like pointed at me, people like gave me like really weird looks. Like looking back at the videos later, like people gave me weird looks and like turned around and were like, why is that dude filming her talking? Um, but I don't know. I don't know what made me do it. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
I guess the question is, would you do it again?
Um, I guess it the thing is like I had my back turned to all the people, so while it was happening, I didn't know they were doing that stuff to me.
What
So
would
it's
be
like,
cool is if you did it like on one of the rooftop bars,
yeah,
somehow had the crowd like looking, like you could still see the crowd like below you. That would be kind of
true. That's a good idea. Yeah, well, Gabe wanted to go inside one of the honky tonks and record in there, and I was like, no, I draw the line.
yeah,
So
you're probably better off on the street. Yeah.
yeah. Plus, I don't know if I don't, I don't know. I don't go into the honky tonks really ever, but I feel like they probably wouldn't want you to record,
Yeah, probably not.
right?
Yeah.
So,
So what's your favorite spot to go to then in Nashville to see a show?
um, hmm. I I've been to D's a good amount of times. Just I've had some friends play there. D's can be kind of hit or miss sometimes. Sometimes it sounds awful in there. Um, but it's also so like such a fun vibe. Um, I also Um, really like Vinyl Tap. That's like really close to me. Um, and yeah, I like the Five Spot too. You mentioned the Five Spot. That place is also really nice.
Yeah. Have you ever
Uh,
been to the Lakeside Lounge?
no.
So we were there from Tuesday to Friday, right? For
Yeah.
Americana Fest. So
Mhm.
I bet at least five or six people that we talked to that were local to Nashville said, "Oh, you got to go to the Lakeside Lounge." And we're like, "Oh, okay." So the last night we were there, we go there about 10:30 at night, and their deal, I guess, is every day during the week after 10 o'clock at night, you can get a beer, a shot, and a smash burger for $12.
What?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And it was a delicious smash burger, I must say. Like it was really
Wow.
good.
I never even heard of that place.
Yeah, it's in East Nashville, not too
Oh,
far from Love and Exile.
huh.
We went there for the Pace magazine showcase, and so it was not far from there. But I know it was in East Nashville. But yeah, the Lakeside Lounge,
Hmm.
just really great music, cool vibe, like pool tables, dartboard. Like it was fun.
Well, I live in East Nashville, so I'll
There you go.
have to go check it out.
Well, the debut album comes out tomorrow. Things I've Said Before. 9 songs, about what, 35 minutes, 40 minutes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
35. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Rami, just the best of luck. I hope everybody listens to it. Go listen to this album. The songs are fantastic. And yeah, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us and that helps the artists like Rami. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear, RAR. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Dog. You've been great. This is the Music Lab Podcast.